Todd.
Well, Pastor Jeff, you got 24 hours.
24 hours for what this
24
time?
hours.
For what this time, Doc?
To get those church tables and chairs back in the basement before the deacons find out. Because I know you took them for Thanksgiving. And the punch bowl.
Listen, if I brought some tables all the way from home from Steubenville,
they ain't seen them again.
You ain't gonna ever see them again.
They're mine now. How was your Thanksgiving, brother?
Man, it was phenomenal. It was very relaxing, very good. You know, a lot of time spent with family and friends and food, and obviously your house for the Ohio State game.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, everybody kicked it. Matter of fact, the whole crew was there. We should have did a show.
We was all there.
Did a show from
the. Yeah. Absolutely, but it was great. How was yours?
It was great, man. We had a great time. In-laws, my father-in-law was in town for Texas. It was a good time. Always good to see him. I brought over a special Steelers tray just for him to use at Thanksgiving dinner, and he rejected my offering. I was trying to be
good man.
I mean, I was like, hey, Pop, this is for you. But the Browns fan in him just couldn't do it, man. He just sat there and ate his plate at the couch.
I'd rather ate off the floor.
He made a sacrifice. But it was all good, man. Great time, man. Appreciate being able to see everybody and family getting together, man. There's nothing like family and food, fellowship, and Absolutely. Good football, especially when the Buckeyes are winning.
Yes, sir. How about you, Mike? How was your Thanksgiving, man?
Thanksgiving was good. Family did a come together at a hall, which is good because then it doesn't put it on any one house to pile in all the extras afterwards and a refrigerator and just cleaning up and all the other things that folks don't want to clean up, but everybody want to leave. So it was good. Did the whole hall thing. That's right when the storm started coming through. So, thankfully, everybody made it back to their respective places.
So y'all just come in and eat. I've never done Thanksgiving in a hall, with the family. Where y'all sleep at?
Sleep?
I'm just saying, you're supposed to take that nap.
Listen,
it's time to go.
It's time to go.
Really?
Man. Yeah, man.
I couldn't do that.
We're very, very blessed because obviously it's our house because we got the biggest house. Mm-hmm. But
go ahead and brag on God.
No, I'm just saying.
Humble brag.
Humble brag.
Every day, they will not leave without cleaning.
Oh,
they will not leave without cleaning it. And I tell them like, go ahead, we got it.
Right.
And they like, I'm like, listen, y'all. It's inches of snow outside. Y'all need to get home. Y'all scaring me. They like, nah, we don't.
Not y'all. Then y'all left my house tore up after the game.
That's because you had asked us to lightweight leave. You said, all right, time to go. We weren't leaving, but
time to hit the hay.
You ain't got to tell me twice. Let me get my keys in my hand.
That slipped out, man. That slipped out. But go Bucks, by the way. Shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes. IO.
Yes, sir.
None of my blue brothers made it to church today, strangely enough. I didn't see no blue, no M's, no nothing.
None of them.
Nothing in the church, man. I mean, we had some good church, though. Yeah, I mean, it was a good day. We had Kenny G. Thanks for keeping my seat warm. That's hilarious.
Right, hilarious.
That's hilarious.
The trollingest of the trolls.
Right. Scott said Tyler's paying off for the biggest house. Oh, Joel Osteen. Oh man. So it's movie season. My boy, snagged up Shamika to go see Zootopia 2. He's a Zootopia fiend, he's into that whole animal movie phase, which I'm good, because he could be like into, Boys in the Hood and Sexy Red and all this other stuff. So I'll take Zootopia as long as I can. Whatever he's looking up on YouTube is his business. I mean,
is this Elias or Ethan?
This is Ethan.
Oh, they actually went to the
Elias
movies?
Is on it.
Elias is watching.
Elias is on the Cardi B.
Boys in the Hood.
Right. They actually went to the movies?
Believe it or not, he actually managed to guilt trip Shamika and taking him to the movies because she kept promising and putting it off. And she's not going to say no to the little one. That's the baby. But then London got a chance to go see Wicked. And, before she got back in the house, I laid hands on her. Got the blessed oil.
Make her take off all her clothes and oil.
Yeah. We had to spray her down and call for the mothers. But that's been one of the latest controversies that's been hopping around, which I wrote my own blog about because I started to see pastors, saints, very well-meaning people say, don't go see this movie. For lack of a better word, it is a display and portal to witchcraft and demonic influence. Another minister who I don't even know who he is or where he's from mentioned that one of the stars is a lesbian, which I'm like, do you not watch TV or movies at all? Because do you not listen to gospel music? I mean, what are we talking about? I mean,
half of
you go to church. I mean, you been to the store this week? I mean, what are we doing? So, I wrote a story about it because I'm kind of sick of it. When the first one came out, there was a buzz about it. Mm-hmm. This one has turned into a whole nother buzz. I'm not sure if these people even watched the movie or if they just listened to what they were told. But there were a few things I would like to clarify about the movie. One was that they used spells and witchcraft and all. It's been confirmed. I actually looked it up. It's like a fake language. They use like a fake language. They use some Greek, some Latin. They just like do some gibberish. It's like literally gibberish. Abracadabra. Literally, that's what it is. Like abracadabra-ish, supercalifragilistic, expialidocious type language, for real. So there are no real witches or sorcery or black magic known in the, I guess, black magic, which I'm not even that familiar with. God bless the super Christians who somehow know all about this. Because I'm trying to figure out how you know so much about something that can kill you. I mean, But the other part of it is, it's the Wizard of Oz. And one of the points I made is, does scary or better graphics equal demonic? Because you've been watching wizard, witch shows of all types, from cartoons to the 1939 Wizard of Oz, where somebody actually made the point. In 1939, that green lady with the pointy hat was the scariest thing on screen.
Absolutely.
Melting into the floor. That was terrifying audiences. Now to Christians, it's a joke basically. I mean, you'll say it in church. I'll get you my little pretty and all that stuff. Nobody says that is demonic. Nobody says the Wiz is demonic. Nobody says Count Chocula is demonic and he's a whole vampire. Because they say the same thing about sinners, and I made the same joke. Like, so is Count Chocula, because he's a vampire? Or is it the blood? Is that the part? Or is it the graphics? Is it the reality?
Like Leah just said, though, I mean, I never thought of Harry Potter, boy. They ate Harry Potter up.
Oh, yeah.
They love Harry Potter. Every white kid is dressed up as Harry Potter for Halloween.
J.K. Rowling,
not the Saints kid.
Cash and checks.
J.K. Rowling, yeah. You know who's another one? Which was some years ago, but the Chronicles of Narnia.
Absolutely.
Which was written by a Christian author. C.S. Lewis is a Christian, a revered Christian author. And in that epic, he uses magic and witches and all types of talking animals and all that stuff to portray what we all recognize as a Christian message. Like literally the line is like Jesus. Like, and everybody's like, hooray, this is the gospel getting out there. But nobody puts those two together. I just feel like we're selective.
Absolutely. I believe so.
Coach Mike, what is your take? And I know Big Mike wants to throw something in there. How do you feel when you sort of hear these kind of outrages?
I grew up on Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Man.
So
you got to go, man. You got to go. I knew there was something wrong with you.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you grew up on...
No, I believe that's it. It's always going to be something. I don't care what it is, with X amount of millions of people on this earth. Someone's going to find something to pick at, something to find some type of relevancy, to get some type of platform, and so on and so forth.
But what if it's genuine? Like, we genuinely feel like we're not looking for clout. We really want to warn the saints.
Sure. Warn the saints and be done with it, because at the end of the day, you don't have any control off of what somebody is going to do in or outside of their home. So warn the saints, make your stance, and then keep it moving. Like, what else is there to do? What are you going to do? You're going to pick it? You're going to do, I don't know.
I wonder if any of those pastors are on here, because, and I'm sure you are. I would
suggest turn off your whole TV then.
Yeah.
Just turn it all off.
Throw your cell phone away.
Yeah, turn TV,
what's that browser
phone,
history look like?
Because, bro, how do you watch the NFL? I mean, and what sins do we, because they say witchcraft, and I guess witchcraft is a sin. practicing witchcraft is a sin. Is the portrayal under a false pretense, is that the same sin? Is portraying something sinful the same as participating in something sinful and enjoying that entertainment? Because what wouldn't that apply to? Like I put on Twitter, actually, and I put on my blog, if you like The Godfather, that means you are participating in corruption and gangster behavior and murder and adultery. And I'm just saying, all the classic movies.
But let's just
if you like Cooley High,
let's just be real. Superman is an alien.
And he has powers.
The whole
Marvel universe.
The Scarlet Witch, the magician, I can't even think of his name. Doctor Strange. It's all witchcraft.
And I'll say this clearly. I'm not making light of witchcraft or of the concern. It's not about making light. It's about making sense. That's my point. And I believe that as Christians, especially those of us who are pastors, we're supposed to help people make sense of the Bible in a correct way. And throwing this stuff out here, and I believe out of context, because the Bible does say you shall not participate in witchcraft, just like it says you shall not murder. Right? So if you don't participate in murder, but if you watch a show with murder, if you watch CSI, you watch Law and Order, you watch your favorite gangster movie, are you now inviting the spirit of murder into your spirit?
Right. That's what I was going to say. I watch documentaries on serial killers. That don't mean I'm going to go out and...
you're looking suspect, Mike. You've been looking pretty mean in church recently.
I'm just saying, they have to give us credit, man. We're smarter than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
It's almost as if they don't trust the resilience of our spirits.
Right. We're smarter than that, man. Come on.
And I just feel like it's easy pickings. And to Scott's point, people might be offended. And he mentioned the young lady played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. Might I remind you, and I'm not affirming that that's a appropriate thing. There's still Christian outrage over certain portrayals of, if you're mad that Jesus is being played by a woman, I'm still mad he's being played by a white dude. So I'm joking. No, halfway.
Not really.
Not really. But what I will say is, since when has Hollywood not been Hollywood? Yeah. We're so worried about the wickedness in Hollywood. We're not speaking about the wickedness in D.C. Wow. We're not speaking up about genocide in Africa, in Ukraine, and Palestine.
The wickedness in some of these churches.
The wickedness in churches. You're not speaking up, putting up posts about abuse that's happening right up under your nose in your sanctuaries.
Idolatry.
Yeah.
Listen, you know how many times I've been told I'm going to be a millionaire and still broke?
Yeah, you haven't made a post about false prophets that have been in your church and you know they were false and you laughed it off and said, yeah, that was kind of crazy, and went on with life and did not say that was wrong. You weren't as public. So I just feel like we're so very selective. And Christians have to stop being so easily rage baited and fueled by what they see on TikToks and YouTube clips, because that's where we're getting the info from. Nobody is giving an actual theological scripture. Like I said, I did the work and actually talked about the discernment, the difference between portrayal and participation, and how do you find some theological and biblical context that helps you approach things like this. Because like you said, if we applied that standard to every sin that is portrayed, and I'm talking with as much realism as witchcraft, more realism than you could ever see in witchcraft, then we would literally have to throw out if you watch the NFL, they're promoting gambling.
Absolutely.
Drinking, scantily clad women. And by the way, everybody on that field is getting CTE and concussions to entertain you. And you will gladly, especially my old school preachers who probably speak against wicked, they would gladly say, they don't hit like they used to. I want these guys to be in wheelchairs and all that stuff.
A leather helmet.
And you don't care if somebody's right. Why they got helmets on? Whoa, safety caps. I didn't want to hear that. But so I just hate the inconsistency. That's been such a big thing. There are two words that just scream in my life, and it's balance and consistency. In my faith walk, I want to always promote. I believe in miracles. I believe in the unexplainable things of God, things that we'll never understand until we go to heaven and all that stuff. But I still believe in balance and in consistency because I believe God holds those things as principles.
For me, again, and it may be, you know what, I'm going to just say it. I still believe it's a lot of clickbait. It's easy to get likes, hearts, follows, and people to jump on your posts and talk. It's a good talking points.
It is.
But like you said, if you're not going to bring scriptural reference, if you're not going to bring, like you said, balance and consistency in it, why are we even talking about it? If all you're going to say is it's wicked, what makes it wicked? Scripture. Yeah, what makes it wicked? What
did you examine about it personally?
Because half y'all ain't even watched it. You don't even know what it is. And I haven't watched it myself. I have no clue what's going on in it.
Right. And I think that just to end on that point, this is where biblical literacy, cultural literacy matter. Because if you're not biblically literate, some people aren't literate. We have too many simple-minded spiritual folk, literally. And that's what's always been the plague of Christianity and humanity in general. That's why people hate religion, because you'll chase anything. There are wonderful, beautiful precepts in every religion, by the way, but Christianity that are and they're strict enough by themselves. They're plenty constricting and put you in boundaries of faith and conviction and belief. And then we just add all this other stuff out of it, out of fear-mongering and all. Because we're not as literate. And some of these folk, God help me, you're preaching and teaching every Sunday and you're willing to go off a half. Next thing you know, you walk around the world is flat, and because you read it somewhere. And then there's cultural competence. And that's where a lot of Christians, including Christian leaders, are so detached from culture to the point that they really can't tell what they're looking at when they look at it.
He's trying to get offended because you're a Sagittarius.
That's hilarious. And so there are people who they don't know what they're looking at when they watch what they watch. It's one thing to discern the Bible and God and all that. It's another thing to discern your world. And there are people who cannot discern their world well. They don't even know what's happening. Not because they didn't watch a movie, because they don't understand the cultural context that it's happening in.
Right.
And so that's frustrating because people look to us for direction. And unfortunately, simple-minded leaders produce simple-minded Christians.
I would give more credence to, say, for instance, if they were speaking to maybe an actor, right, who was in their congregation and they have to portray a witch or something like that, just because of like the gentleman, I forget his name, it's going to come, but from Batman that played the Joker. And
Heath Ledger.
You can be Keith.
He embodied it so much.
You embody it so much. Yes. So as a believer, if there's anything you're doing, whether it's that or it's like maybe a sex scene on whatever that is, and it's going to pull something out of you, then you need to have enough discernment to be able to step away. And I want to say that's for the actor that's doing it, but that's also for the person that's watching it, where if there's something in your spirit, there should be enough Jesus in you that if something don't feel right, sense right with you, then you need to turn it off, leave, or do whatever needs to happen.
Right. If you're doing a sex scene and something getting pulled out of you, it's called a porno.
Right. But I mean, this could extend all the way to what if there's a young lady on your, dance ministry, mime ministry, whatever. But outside of church, they're a part of a gymnastics or a dance troupe or whatever, school age, and you feel like they're doing racy or raunchy, moves, the hips gyrating. They're doing all that stuff that goes in with those routines. Now, I've watched people say, I'm not allowing my kid to do that. That doesn't reflect this. But a lot of people look the other way when it's other things. And it's personal because it's easy to shout across the bow at somebody you will never meet, you will never know. And half of these churches, including mega and small folks, they have people who are engaged in different things. And as long as they're committed to their church, and paying them tithes.
Absolutely.
Because Denzel Washington and Angela Bassett and all them go to West Angeles and in LA, and people go to them churches in Atlanta, and I bet you ain't none of them talking about, if you star in that movie, don't come back to my church.
Listen, they giving out tickets to go see us. They giving out tickets
if they succeed, we succeed.
Along with your tithe, come and get this ticket.
And Scott makes a good point. Do people look to pastors for direction or for confirmation on what's trending on TikTok? I think it depends on what church and what pastor you're talking about. And unfortunately, neither side, the people or the pastors, often have the kind of discernment to be able to tell the difference. And that's a sad thing. But I think it's a great conversation to have. I'm always up for your rebuttals. But again, I believe portrayal and participation are two different things. I even looked up, because this happens for real, were there any witches consulted with the movie and stuff? And the answer I got offline at least was no. This is literally as fantasy was, just better graphics and a backstory. And London jumped in the car saying, because Shamika loves the Wizard of Oz, which does mean she's the devil, but because Shamika loves the Wizard of Oz, London jumped in the car and said, Mom, you would love it. It explains so much. Because it's like a prequel to the Wizard of Oz. It explains how these witches that the house fell on and all this other stuff and the ruby red slippers, where that all came from. That's the whole point. How the tornado started, how the one ended up green, how the ruby red slippers came. That's the whole point of the movie.
Well, you know,
the backstory.
To Martin's point, I can recall so often, you know, especially back then, I love movies that have biblical, some type of biblical,
some kind of symbolism.
I mean, you know, give me the Matrix all day long. You know, give me the Matrix when he rose above the storm and saw the light. Give me the Matrix when, he had to talk to the one and he had to become the one and all that stuff.
Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, all those have biblical, but I mean, when you just get to the point, it's just a movie, dude.
The Saints took
It's
buses to
just
see
a
Black
movie.
Panther, and they was like drinking magical plants and stuff to get power. Like, what are you talking about?
I didn't see the movie, but Leah says that the movie's kind of exposing how the powers be.
It does. The whole point is how power exploits.
Yeah, the masses.
And it has these, messages within it. So that's just very, I think it's just like we don't see the message behind the message unless we want to.
Yeah.
And we look at these motifs again, where just about every movie has something that could be considered sinful in it. And if just portraying something sinful, I mean, I don't know of a movie, because what plot would there be if somebody wasn't sinning? You know what I mean? Because somebody has to do something wrong for there to be a plot.
Absolutely.
Even the Ten Commandments.
Right, Ten Commandments, right?
Y'all didn't obey. Boom.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever happened to pure entertainment, Dr. Wingfield. So, I mean, your convictions are your own, and the Bible tells us to follow your convictions. My problem comes when I start condemning something.
Well, yeah. Once again,
out of context,
when you're putting your conviction on social
on
media,
other people,
that brings it to everybody.
My favorite one is when they put up a post that says the devil worshippers said that if you do this, that you're joining their world. I'm like, since when are they the authority on anything? Like the ex-devil worshipper says he loves it when you all listen to rap music. That's their favorite thing. And I'm like, who cares? I mean, who cares? What authority do they have over the lives of the Christians? And we act like they're more important than the actual word of God. And thank you for what Carol said about study the Bible, the patterns of it, not just that line that agrees with you this week, not that line that meets your fears and your biases and your prejudices and your comforts of your spirituality. Because if you really study the Bible, it will make most of what you believe quite uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
It'll challenge you. So that's a lot to jump into, but we're going to talk about a couple of things. But let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun and just go on ahead into our meme of the week. I think that'll be a good place to start. We're going to start into our meme of the week. Y'all know what it is. This is a pretty good one that's been floating around, but go on ahead and hit that intro.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We are. These are all jokes. We are just playing.
So the best way I could describe this one is this is a trend that has taken off on TikTok, Facebook. And this is one of those, first of all, it's a black Twitter, black TikTok thing, because only we would come up with something like this concerning our babies. And I would say that I wish that, I won't say I didn't have a cell phone. I wish that we had better quality cameras when our babies were babies, because you get to get away with Grayson, but we got these little grainy videos of Elias and Christian. But this was a great one. No, Pastor Patton, Jeff is still not saved. We tried our best. But there's always a new year.
Bro. Good to see you on.
We gonna get Jeff fixed in 2026. That's my theme. So this one is hilarious. Just check it out. You will see very quickly if you read the caption what people have taken out of videos of their children.
Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Sikkenu, you're mighty. The angels bow down. They call you holy, holy and righteous. Just you are. Lord, you're good. Bread of life, my healer, my regulator, my peace.
They even got the white babies. He laying hands on his.
God, you're good. I'll forever tell that you are faithful. You're not dead. You're still alive. I thank you.
Glory.
I thank you. I thank you. You're at my situation, at their situation, at mama's situation, at daddy's situation, all at the same time. Who is this king? The Lord. The Lord strong and mighty. He'll push back darkness. God, I thank you for your resurrecting power. I thank you for moving mountains. I thank you for
That's London.
covering me. No
Full commit.
That's commitment right there.
Listen, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. But the truth is, they could have just went over to Cam's church.
Listen,
They could have went to Pastor Bowman's church.
Listen.
And all that could have been done in one shot.
Right. We could have had the whole service. Just put the service
Go
up.
to the Radical Church and it's over.
Cam is the Shouting Kids Church
He is
of
a shouting
the
kid
Mahoning
church.
Valley.
Absolutely.
I need him to like rent a kid, like rent a shouter.
send a couple down
All
to
the churches
Steubenville.
that are without. Oh, so the funny thing is, do the kids look like people who are praising God?
Absolutely.
Or do the people who are praising God look like these kids? Because that's what y'all be looking like.
Funny.
Now, my second question is, I know you take the videos and put it over the captions after you do it, but I wonder if anybody just pulls out the shout music while the kid is having the tantrum. Like, just turns on their phone.
I think the one did because they had to blanket out and
Put it
lay
next to their
hands and
ear.
everything.
Because if you've ever been a parent of a baby, you know that they can take you there. Like, there have been times when they would scream and I would scream, and we would just scream in each other's faces.
I've done that before.
You want to be crazy? I can be crazy. I'm crazy too. Sometimes they shut up. Other times they just cry more, and outcry you because they have unlimited energy. But yeah, I think that's a great way to deal with kids. I wish that was around when I was a kid.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I miss a good shout, though. Just one good shout.
A good shout.
Just one good shout.
One good river dance for
One
Pastor
good,
Jeff.
absolutely.
One good river
One
dance.
good New Year's. I think I might get one.
You
on
might
New
have to
Year's.
pull one out, man.
I might have to pull one out on.
Make
New
sure
Year's.
Christian has it on video so that we can make it a meme of the week. Shortest leg shout ever. Speedy Gonzalez over here shouting faster than the music. Oh, man, I love it. The tantrums, the church music. Thanks for tuning in, Mel. Thanks for tuning in, Brother Martin. We want to thank our sponsors today for supporting us at Religiously Incorrect Annex Events. Whether you need tables, chairs, drapery, custom decorations, or even all of the equipment, tents, shelters, and the famous Party Igloo, Annex Events has the Party Dome. The Party Dome. Annex Events has everything you need to make your affair classy and one of a kind. Make sure you check them out at 330-979-2909 or look up Annex Events online on Facebook or their website. Mention Religiously Incorrect and receive a 10% discount off of your first order. I promise you won't be disappointed. Thank you, Annex Events, for being a proud sponsor of Religiously Incorrect Podcast. All right, y'all. So, days that I can't get Jeff doing the river dance out my head. Listen, I have plenty of video
not
evidence.
the river dance.
I have. Just ask Tony Brown what it is. Tony Brown calls it the river dance.
It ain't the river dance that you thinking of.
Listen,
Tell you that.
right?
Right?
It's a whole different. It's the black river dance. It's the down by the river dance. Oh man, I'll take it. Pastor Wingfield, he's got a shouter at his church.
Yeah, dude.
He's got one of those shouters that shouts on everything.
Okay.
You can be singing Total Praise. He's going.
Not total praise.
He's going up and down the aisle. I love it. So we're going to split our main portion into two portions. I kind of want to talk about two different things, and we'll start with some controversial comments that were made by our dearly talented and gifted sister, Yolanda Adams, who I used to always get confused with Lisa Leslie when I was young because they were both super tall. And I thought Yolanda Adams could be in the WNBA. But she made some controversial comments that addressed, oddly enough, to Scott's point earlier about a female playing Jesus. Mm-hmm. She mentioned some comments about the gender of God. And we don't want to spend all day on it, but it's like if we had a first things first, I guess we'll have a second things second. But we'll put this under the banner of amen or nah. We'll put it under the banner of amen or nah. Here is the clip for context, because a lot of people have been talking about it, but not everybody has actually heard it. So here is the clip. Big Mike's going to cue up for you, and then we'll discuss.
But I don't think that God is this small entity that people are trying to make him or her or it, because he is spirit. And because we are of the mind of calling things, gender wise, because that's how we grew up. I'm just going to continue to say he. But I've never felt away from God. I've always felt like I was a part of what he was doing, even as a kid. And that he's so huge, he could love me in Houston, Texas, and love somebody in, Perth, Australia.
Mm. So the primary part was at the front end of that. And this was the comment that got everybody in a tizzy. And that was he or she. He, she, it. And to her point, she says God is a spirit. He is bigger than the confines and the constrictions that we put him into. And there was an earlier comment, of basically saying, I don't know why we make God so small just to us. How do you feel about that? And I don't know if we can say amen or nah. I would say amen and nah. That's what I could say. I could say amen to God is a spirit. And in the purity of how we understand spirit, it could be said, well, there's no particular gender there in a spirit. God is a spirit and they that worship. Now, even Jesus says, God is a spirit. Here's where the actual Bible comes in. But they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So I can say to an effect, yes, God is bigger than what we would in our world call gender identity. In our world, the he, she, her, all that stuff we do now with gender identity. The nah part comes in on two levels. Number one, God by his own word, including through the words of Jesus Christ, refers to himself and chooses to refer to himself and the Godhead, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, all refer to themselves as him and he. All of them refer to themselves as him and he. And the second thing I would say is to base it solely on because that's how we were raised or that's just tradition is very incomplete. And no disrespect to Ms. Adams, but there are real theological reasons for why we use masculine terms. It's not just, that's just what they told you.
Right.
It might not have been explained like it probably should have been.
Right, I think so.
And maybe there was never a necessity because nobody really questioned it all that much. I know there's been a feminist movement and womanist movement now for going on 50, 60, 70 years now. But there's always been a masculine bent to the theological identity of God as he describes himself, as Jesus speaks of the Father, never the mother, ever. So I'm not saying amen to the front part just because there is a semblance of truth to the fact that God is a spirit and that you could argue spirits don't have genders. You could argue that. he obviously, for the sake of human interaction and human understanding and human engagement, expresses himself along human terms so that we can have some interaction with God. And so the God who we believe in Genesis says created them male and female, chose to identify himself as male. Right. Nobody just made that up.
Right.
Nobody just made it up, in my view. So I hate when people just say, you only believe that because that's what they told you. What they told you is based off of thousands of years of study. What they told you is based off of arguments, debates, councils, creeds, that go far beyond what probably any of us would ever have an honest engagement. I'm not talking about flipping opinions on Facebook. I'm talking about people who are in dusty books you will never read, who have personal testimonies. Jesus obviously was not a female. Hope we can agree on that. Right. Jesus was not a female. He was the son, as I said on today. It's a boy. When I was talking about Joseph, the first stop that the angel made with Joseph was, please don't put Mary away. It's a boy. You want a boy. Stop. This is what you want. And he refers to his father in heaven as father, as masculine, as him, as he. And so if we believe in Jesus, it only stands to reason that Jesus wasn't trying to be chauvinistic and male dominating. He was just referring to his father as he appropriately would. That's enough of my take. Pastor Jeff?
I mean, I really don't got nothing else to add to that. As you said so much, so eloquently. I mean, it's throughout the Bible. Our Father, which art in heaven, Abba Father is, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's everywhere. I mean, I don't see where there's really an argument at. And I mean, you said only thing, y'all know I always try to find some type of devil's advocate. I can't even find nothing there though. I think at one point, David said, my soul shall make her boast in the Lord. Now that's his soul. So I can't find nothing. There's nothing there to find.
I want to answer Leah's question. Leah's question is, but isn't that based on the hierarchical, and I'm assuming you also mean patriarchal structure of the powers that be who wrote the Bible? Here's one thing that the Bible is not confused about at all, is who was a man in the Bible and who was a woman in the Bible. Paul was a man. Mary was a woman. Moses was a man. Miriam was a woman. Adam was a man. Eve was a woman. So we have no reason to believe that some sort of patriarchal agenda plays a part in the identity of people. Now, the treatment of people, how women were viewed, how rights people had. I preached about that. If you preach anything about Advent, you'll probably end up talking about Mary and Joseph and how young she was and contracted to be married. I talked about the contract of marriage and all that kind of stuff. The treatment of people, absolutely. The identity of people. And so this is my frame of reasoning, and I think a lot of theologians would agree with me. If gender is static, at least in the identity of the people mentioned in the Bible, if their gender is basically static and stayed, it is what it is. Now, I'm not saying there are no homosexuals. I'm not saying there are no transgenders didn't exist in that time, because we all know that all of these gender identities existed throughout ancient times. But as far as the identity of people and how they identified themselves, or how the people in the Bible were identified, nobody just wrote down, well, let's make Paul a man because it will look better for us as men. Let's make Peter a man because we want men to be the only apostles. Where there might have been some female apostles we didn't want to speak to, maybe people got diminished over time. So with that as my basis, I have no reason, when Jesus speaks, who is a man, and says, my Father, and if you're a Christian, you believe that Jesus is God in the flesh, if he's speaking the ultimate truth of the kingdom, and as he's speaking the ultimate truth of the kingdom, which, by the way, even the most liberal of Christians want to talk about everything Jesus said. The red letter words, the screw Paul, right. Forget about all that dogma and doctrine in the epistles. Just give me Jesus. Well, here's what Jesus says. Jesus says the Holy Ghost is a he. Jesus says that God is a he. And I don't think some writers came after that and made God a he just for kicks or just to fulfill a patriarchal agenda, even if it was passive. I don't believe that part. I do believe God is a spirit. Again, that in his pure spiritual mode, I don't know what heaven is like. Don't know what it's like to be, in the pure Shekinah presence of the Lord and the fullness of his power that we probably couldn't even handle and all that. And maybe there, it doesn't matter what gender a person is.
Leah just said, but the identity of God is still something that is not seen. The people of the Bible were. And to that, I would just say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Bible says, if you've seen me, Jesus,
you've seen my Father.
You've seen my Father.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they're the same, that would just.
Jesus said, I and the Father are one.
One. Yes.
Yeah. And not just in some spiritual essence. And I do believe to what Carol is saying that, I am that I am, existential and beyond my comprehension. Thank you. The question is not whether God is a man or a woman, is really not the point. The Bible refers, and by the way, God refers to himself in the Bible as masculine. And again, I think it's more for our understanding than for his. And I think we kind of have to get over this. If God is masculine, that there's something lesser about me that I can't relate to because God is a man. Because I think that's a whole nother complication and wrinkle that we're bringing to the discussion. That what limit is there to that? If my mama gives me advice and I say, well, you're not a man, so I can't relate to you.
Right.
No, I mean, your mama has a perspective. My father has a perspective. There's a perspective that's necessary from both sides. But the truth of the matter is, there is no theological argument for God referring to himself in any feminine sense. The church, however, and here's where theology comes in as well, God refers to the church as his bride.
Right.
The bride of Christ. Christ being the masculine, the groom. That is not, again, just a patriarchal construct, but it is a reflection of the first creation, man and woman. As man was created first and given to the, wife was given to him, so is the church given to Christ. Christ is the bride, or the bridegroom, I should say, and the church is the bride. And it doesn't have to be comfortable for people for it to be true. It doesn't have to be comfortable for it to be true. So, I mean, I think it does bring, and I'll say we're probably giving more nuanced conversation than most people if you went to church and raised your hand in Sunday school and said, is God a man or a woman?
I think God is a man, because if it was a woman, she would have came back by now.
Now that she out shopping.
No. You're so misogynistic. Not you, Mike. But did God refer to himself, or did he inspire the folks to write about him? If you believe that he inspired the folks to write about him, I am of the conviction that I believe that if God wanted himself to be referred to as a woman, he would have made sure the people he impressed upon to write it made that point.
Every scripture is inspired by God.
And I know it takes a measure of faith, and that's where faith sort of conflicts with logic and reason, and where Leah sort of stands. But there also, patterns matter too. Patterns in human behavior matter too. And I don't see any reason why we would divorce logic and reason of our world from their world. And like I said earlier, if gender is Bro said that's too much emotion.
That's what I'm saying. She would have came back already.
we would have all been smitten by now. But I get the point she's making, because then you are tagging into other very deep themes. The inspiration of the Bible, the infallibility of the Bible. Could the Bible be tampered with? Could the true word of God have been manipulated by man? Now, I mean, some of this is going to end up boiling to a very, very basic point. Is do you believe in the God of the Bible?
Period.
Or not?
Period. Yeah.
Some of that's going to come into. Do we all know that there are translations and interpretations and all that? None of them, up until about 10 years ago, have even approached the idea of any gender fluidity of any gender fluidity. And I think one of the issues that we have is we only make these gender challenges when it suits ideas. Because I see you making a point. I've never seen any religion that was divorced from the sociological structures of the time. I can agree with that. But you know why you're asking this question right now? Because of the sociological structures of our time. The only reason you are asking about this right now is because of the sociological structures of our time. So we have to give them the same grace we would give ourselves. Mm-hmm. And if we weren't living in a world of women's liberation, if we weren't living in a world of female empowerment in a way, that question wouldn't even come up. That's a sociological product in a way. And I'm not saying that just to knock down your argument or your thoughts, but I'm saying that in a way of gender, male and female, and again, totally acknowledging, but as far as the biblical account and narrative is concerned, there's never been evidence that there was any reason to confuse anybody's gender. So we don't have any logical reason why anybody would confuse God's gender, at least in his earthly expression or the way we describe or ascribe in scripture. We have no reason to say there's no evidence. And I'll be honest, I think we would have found it by now. We've discovered scrolls everywhere.
Absolutely. Lost books of the Bible, everything.
And given far more credence. I mean, thank God for our female preachers and our more liberal-minded male preachers who are giving far more credence, role, importance to the apostolic work of women, to the preaching, pastoral work of women in the Bible that were often ignored and overlooked. And so will we ever satisfy a world? And maybe this is be insulting to some people. Will we ever satisfy a world that's looking for perfect equality and balance between male and female? I don't think so.
All I know is if God was a female, Kamala, Hillary, somebody would have won by now. Somebody would have been, we would have had Trump in there. That's all I know.
And I think that, and I respect your opinion. The reason I would never ride with Yolanda is because she is a singer and not a theologian, and it matters. And I will say that, and you're an academic, and I would say that on any other subject, you would not take the opinion of an entertainer over an academic. Not with the schooling you have, Leah. You would never sit there and say, well, Lil Jon said such and such, so what the scientists said don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, you would never say that. And I'm being very clear here. I mean, Sister Adams is nobody's theologian. No, nobody's. God bless her singing ability.
Ooh, Mariah, that's a whole nother story there.
Yeah, we're not getting.
Yeah, that's a whole nother one.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother one. Lord have mercy. Brother Kellen said, why today he has to be a woman? Why can't he just be God? Why would y'all serve him better or something if he was a her? Y'all already own the church. I mean, I don't know what else y'all want. This y'all day, to be honest. This is y'all time. But that's an interesting question. Like, if we all just went to her, would that suddenly make, no disrespect, Leah, that's my girl, that's my friend. Would that suddenly make the Leahs of the world, these devout Christians, if we all call God her?
No, it might not change. It would definitely change a lot of male perspective, though. I can guarantee, especially some of these chauvinistic males, I bet you it would change some of their opinions.
I'm sure it would.
I can guarantee you
that.
It
would. It really wants some folk to preach in their pulpit.
Absolutely.
But Carol makes a good point. Just because you're holding a wrench doesn't make you a mechanic. And again, it goes back to be careful where you get your sources from. And in fairness to this sister, it's a clip.
Right.
Even if it's 2 minutes, it took us 25 minutes off the cuff to even unpack the right language and lingo, let alone if we actually went down all these historic things. And so it's unfair. Now, if she's like, I'm going to stand on it.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think she's even trying to die on that hill.
That's where her fans are at. But that's where, let's just be clear. Fans.
Because since that clip, I've heard her not say anything else about it.
And honestly, even the general public, and people don't even listen to Yolanda Adams or go to church, would be the first ones talking about it. That's right. why we have these strong opinions about stuff you don't even believe in. I don't argue about whether Muhammad is a man or a woman, or I don't argue. I just never been of that. And I'm not saying that's Lee. I'm just saying there's a lot of people scared to say God is my daddy. Daddy God.
Daddy God.
We won't jump into the women leadership thing, Mariah, no matter how badly you want to. But I will say the number one fighters of women in church leadership are other women, not men. I found that out. There are more women that don't want to see a woman preacher.
Absolutely.
Or just as many women that don't want to see a woman pastor or preacher as there are men, and any woman pastor or preacher would tell you that. So let's get off the heavy stuff. Welcome to Religiously Incorrect Podcast. We really love Big Mike. How did you feel about that conversation? Do you feel like it went too?
Nah, I mean, I've heard that before. I've heard preachers refer to God as her. I mean, that's their prerogative. That's what you want to do. You want to do. I mean, I have questions myself. You know what I'm saying? So somebody else got questions. Somebody think of something different. I mean, I'm all for it. You know, me personally, I don't think God is some old man with a beard watching down on everybody. You know what I'm saying? But that's how he's portrayed, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, hey, each his own.
And
man.
imagery is powerful.
Exactly.
Imagery is powerful. We have battled that as black people, you know, the imagery of God, of Jesus, of the apostles, then sometimes taking it to other extremes where we want Jesus to look like Shaft and stuff, you know, and Soul Brother number one, and, you know, it ain't that deep either. So you just... You know, it's tough, and it's a lot to unpack. It caused a lot of people to, what they call, deconstruct and question everything. It's a lot to it. So we wanted to devote the last half of the show, which we used to do in the past, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
Real quick before we go, because I'm not going to entertain Mariah's statement.
You are.
But I have set up under a woman, and my good friend Clarissa Speaker, she's a pastor down in Steubenville. She's on right now.
Hey, Pastor Speaker.
Have either of you...
Mo doesn't like you, Pastor Speaker. This is religiously incorrect. We're just playing.
Has either one of y'all ever set up under a woman pastor?
I'm Pastor George Johnson. You know the answer to that question. Come on.
But I mean, the woman pastor I did set up under, I think she was very good. I think she done a phenomenal job for the time that, you know, I set up under her. So I never had a problem with her. So, but like I said,
that's amazing. Y'all, we got to start hiding y'all comments, man, because y'all need to have an offline conversation. Don't hijack our comment section. Yeah, y'all being emotional right now. Yeah, this is comedy, but I love it. We might have to just have a women's debate.
Oh Lord!
With a glass shield between y'all, with a cage between y'all. All right.
Next week we're gonna have all women pastors.
All women pastors on here. Mo will boycott. Probably half the male pastors will too. All the male lurkers will be like, never mind. So the second half was supposed to be called, the title of the show was supposed to be called Yolanda Adams, Church Clothes and Other Stuff. I wanted to have a brief conversation in 2025 going into 2026 about church clothes.
Church clothes?
It's been a while.
Okay.
The world has changed drastically.
Church clothes definitely has.
You know, my pops used to always say, I've never walked into a store and saw a sign that said church clothes. And I used to kind of nod at that until I went in 5 Grands. Jeff's mother-in-law's boutique.
It is the church clothes.
Co-owned with his wife, or she works with her.
It's co-owned.
Co-owned. Okay, I want to make sure I get it right. And Mo kind of has, since she's the conservative woman of the post, she kind of picks up my vibe. I'm kind of sick of the new age non-church clothes. I want people to dress up again to church. Now, I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying it makes you more spiritual. I'm not saying it has anything to do with your salvation. I'm not saying I want church to be a fashion show. I just like it. I'm being very transparent.
I think you want God to be a woman.
I rebuke that.
If she wear a suit and a hat, she can be whatever she want to be. Well, what do you think, Big Mike?
You know
No.
me. I rebuke that demon.
You rebuke that?
Right.
That's as bad as wicked. That's as bad as wicked for Mike.
Yeah.
Pastor Jeff?
You know, and I'm taking these words off of you because you said it best back when we were at Agape. Back when we were at Agape.
I kind of put that out of my mind.
We dress down, but we're down to dress. I think that's what you said. No, I think you said dress slacks to throwbacks or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Something like
From
that.
snapbacks to church hats.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
I just think, I mean, what would you want to wear? But I mean, I'm not of the opinion that you should have, this, dress down Sunday, that you have a whole Sunday, particularly to, wear your cut up jeans to church. Just come as you are.
Kellen says, so they dressed up and still bound. Let me tell you what I've been watching for the last 20 years. Everybody dressed down and still bound. I've not seen, and I'm not, like I said, I'm just talking off the cuff. But I'm saying the push towards casualness has not made people more authentic or spiritual. That's still a matter of the heart. And we've almost demonized people by almost marking people because they dress up as being bound or locked in tradition, which is dead wrong. Dead wrong. And taking the fewest little examples of a person who, takes too much pride in their clothing and the people who, but what I have seen over the past 20 years is that I have a word for it, and I call it neo-traditionalism. And it's just a new tradition, just like you have neo-Nazis. And we have created some of the same judgment over people who dress up that used to exist over people who dress down. Kellen's point, and I know he didn't mean that unfairly, but to Kellen's point is, as soon as I started talking about dressing up, first thing he said was, you dressed up and still bound. That's an assumption. Because there are people who come in jeans all the time. There are people who dress down all the time. There are people who worship new school, new age, not into all the old school hoop and holler, whatever you want to call it. And they're still doing all the same dastardly stuff that some people who dressed up did. And on the flip side, there have always been genuine people who dressed up, and there are always genuine people who dressed down.
Absolutely.
So now I'm just making it a point of preference of where have we gotten. I'll add one more point to it. We've turned casual dress in some ways into a fashion show. Because now people are wearing, I've seen preachers who dress down wearing $300 t-shirts, Gucci belts, and $400 custom Nikes. Some of your favorite dress down preachers are wearing more money than the three-piece suit preacher.
Absolutely.
So is it really about dress down, or do people just always chase their preferences? And because, especially black folk, because we gonna swag out whatever we got on. I've seen a lot of new age churches, and then it becomes like a judgmental thing too. Because walk into a dress down church with your three-piece suit on and watch how you'll be looked at. After listening to 30, 40 years of people saying, if I come to church in my t-shirt,
Are there any dress down churches in our area?
Yeah. Any of the white churches mostly.
I don't think there are really any black. I think most of our black churches are just mixed.
So what do y'all think?
Because I'm talking about like what's the guy's church?
Rose said it's not in the budget for me. She said she ain't getting me no Gucci belts.
What's the guy's church who just got letter or numbers 36, 8, something, whatever.
2819?
Yeah, 2819. Obviously, his church is all, you just rock the hoodie.
Right.
You just,
and he just fired his assistant pastor for abuse. Yep. Yep. And it's not to make light of that man's situation, but they just fired an associate pastor for a domestic situation in their home, beating down their family, big. So what I'm saying is, you're right, Kellen, it's not about clothes, but we have to make sure we believe that both ways.
My thought, I believe the benefit of having dressed down, because I'm in my Sunday dress, because I wore this today for a Sunday, is it's not about us who are in it. It's, to me, about making those who are not believers, to a certain extent, more comfortable until they do have the extra, whatever it is, to be able to meet that, maybe that casual or that business casual, then that formal or whatever it is.
Right.
And someone not feel intimidated, because at the end of the day, those are the souls that need to come into the church, and not us being catered to our preferences of if we should be dressed up or dressed down.
So is that your permanent
Aspiration?
job?
What's that?
I mean, is that, you said you're dressing down so that those who come in, until they get to the point where they can wear dress, to the point where they get dressed. So once they get to that point, are you still going to stay dressed down for the next person?
For me, it's really comfort in worship.
Okay.
Right.
You know, and I love I can look just as good in a suit as I can in a hoodie. You know what I mean? So for me, it doesn't matter one way or the other.
Sell yourself, brother.
For me, it doesn't matter one way or another. I like to just know that however I show up at my church, that I'm welcomed, and that to me matters most.
Hope made a good point. And at the very beginning and the very end, the very beginning was her own personal perspective. I love wearing church attire because that's pretty much the only time I can dress up real pretty, which again was kind of like the black people standard.
Absolutely.
And white people, quite frankly, depending for a long time. It was, you just Sunday best. It was just a thing. It was a good thing. It wasn't meant to be. I know that people can make just about anything toxic. It wasn't meant to be some toxic fashion show thing. The problem is that humans are humans. And you're sooner or later going to start being competitive. Sooner or later, you're going to start wanting to outdo the other one or have jealousy and all that. But it's not the clothes' fault.
Right.
And it's not the legacy of the clothes' fault. It's just what people do. But the end of her comment was also good. And that's kind of reason I have. She said some people have lost their sense of pride no matter where they go. And I think that church for our culture used to be one of the regulators of that, because it was one of the early teachers of what Leah just said, that there is a time and place for everything. That doesn't necessarily mean dressing up to a standard of what somebody else likes to dress or wants to dress or can afford to dress. But for a lot of people, it just meant dressing their best because they were going to an important place, and church used to be one of those important places. We turned it into, God, don't look at your clothes and blah, 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 blah. But church was in that category of when you're going to an important special place that's different from all your other common places. You put on something a little better, even if it's not expensive, even if it's not fancy. I mean, my grandma used to say all the time, if I had one good blouse and I would iron that blouse, and them brothers, and I respect them brothers that wear that one good pair of pants. They don't have much, but they want to look, especially them old heads.
That's me.
I don't have a whole lot, but and to me, there's a lot inside of that. But there's a lot more than we think about.
Because we talked about it not too long ago. We talked about it, and I don't know how far we can equate this, but we talked about how people in school would, how we wanted everybody to have uniforms in school.
Right.
Because people looked at everybody differently. If you had Jordans, if you had this, if you had that, can that happen in church? Can somebody feel, a little off put because they don't have the clothes that somebody else has?
But how much of that is the church's fault? You can go to school and feel that way. You can go to the mall and feel that way. You can go to the club and feel that way. You can walk in the club and everybody's dressed up classy and you ain't that dressed. Is it the club's fault? Does the club need to change their dress policy if they say no hats, no sneakers, no jeans? Is it the club's fault that they made somebody feel bad? Now, I know God is not the club and church. I get it. But I'm saying, because we're humans, some of that feeling is on the person. And I think we've made a lot of the so-called judgmental Christians looking down on everybody kind of thing. And it's not that it doesn't happen, but I think it's become something people have latched on to. Let me just say I can't think of a church now that's looking down on folk because they ain't dressed. I can't think of a church. And I would challenge people to say, in the year 2025, I went in a church and somebody actually had something to say to me about the clothes I had on.
That's true.
Let's just be clear, because we're talking about a 30-year-old problem. Let's be honest. We're talking about a 30, 40-year-old problem of the so-called judgment of dress. Before you hit Big Mike, just to answer Brother Carroll's answer, he asked, I always wear suits, and yes, so I only choose to wear robes and it's a personal choice for all clergy at this point. There are some clergy who wear robes every single week. They pretty much just wear robes, minister in robes, and they feel like I am the Lord's servant. When I am serving the Lord in the pulpit, I should have a robe on. Almost to what Jeff said about uniform, I don't want my personal self to be seen in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes it's the same robe, and they don't have no style or nothing, whatever. Couldn't do that. But I choose personally to just wear, for the most part, we haven't said this word in a while, demure, modest suits, and for communion services and official services, such as a wedding or the funeral of an officer of our church, or a longtime mother or somebody like that, I'd wear my robe. But I reserve my robes for special occasions.
Robes is hot.
I say
Not for me.
My robes is hot.
to the point of you just saying that
robes, dog.
to the point of you just saying that you would do the robe X, Y, and Z for that special occasion. I believe that maybe the everyday saint feels the same way about when it's funeral, this or that. That's when I'll put on my suit.
But here's the thing,
just
though.
when you say
but if you watch the culture, people aren't.
No, it's the t-shirts now.
People
it's
done
the
lost
t-shirt
it.
with the wings.
I watched old girl come on fishnet top to bottom to a funeral I just did. I'm like, what in the world?
The
Where's your grandma
t-shirt
at?
business
Mike
is
wants to know where she's
What,
at.
exactly. What was her ethnicity?
You lit?
And,
What was your ethnicity?
I need it all. We need to run down.
He needs measurements. I'll shoot you a link to the video. I think.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Now, I think the position has a lot to do with it also. Like if I'm just coming just to observe, or I'm just coming to a Sunday morning service and I'm sitting in the pews, I'm dressing however. Now, if I was appointed to serve communion, or if I was to, say something or have a speech or something like that, then yeah, I probably would dress a little nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where is the biblical precedence where people have taken this cultural shift of wanting or perceiving to dress up, going to church?
Well, they did.
If it's not biblically that you need to do
That's
X,
not
Y, and
necessarily
Z.
true, though.
I'm asking.
I mean,
Other than errands and the priest and things like I know of that, but
all the people would more or less clean themselves up, so to speak. Even if they weren't going in, to go to the temple, to go to the temple courts. Remember, and this goes all the way up to our culture. There was really only work in church.
Right.
You know what I mean? Outside of juke joints and whatever. I mean, which, by the way, people go dress up in their best to go to that too. But there would only be work in church. So you basically clean yourself up out of the life of work to go worship. Because that's a relief from work. The only people working are the priests. They're the ones getting dirty back in the day. And so culturally, all the way up to our time, we had the same dichotomy, basically, is the only relief we had from work was church. Clean yourself up. Back in the day, they only take one or two. Going to be wearing his wedding suit. His disco ball 3000s. He got the disco ball 12s.
Them the Kanye I get dressed up.
Man,
Jones.
listen. If you shine one of them lights on him, too bad, man. You gonna be blind.
You don't need no light on them. Jones.
But to that point, now here's what drives me mad. And again, I am perfectly aware that God's house, as Kellen says, come as you are. We all know it's come as you are. But let one of your family members throw a black party. You will go out and spend buku bucks on the finest black suit tuxedo you can find. And they have like 300 of them a year now. A black party, a white party, a this party, a that party. And watching our people get swagged out and dressed up for everything but church starts to make you feel a little disrespected on God's behalf. Because we found all these other spaces. After we get done talking about what if everybody can't afford that? And then I watch you walk up and rock a $500 jacket from Howard's for the white party. Was it really about affordability, or are you just being kind of lazy? Or you're no longer respectful and reverential of the space. But if Auntie's putting on a white party, you're going to make sure you meet her demands. Make sure. And for anybody who says it doesn't matter what you wear, okay, well, the next time I come to marry your family, I'll have them joggers on. And you'll be like, no, that's not appropriate. And I'll say, says who? Says who? Where in the Bible does it say that the preacher has to put on a robe to do somebody's funeral or wedding?
I'd say too, with someone who usually dress as casual going to church. But when it comes to first Sunday and we're doing communion, I do try to make sure that I'm putting on some type of a jacket
little something,
or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's not a full suit, just because I do reference the moment that we will be partaking in later on that day and all that, you know.
And I think overall, we just need a little bit more of that, because I think it's bleeding through our society, and the church has always been the barometer for society, especially the black church. So the more we have loosened up, and my argument has always been, instead of taking our cues from the world should take their cues from us in the best ways possible. So when people say my church is a come as you are church, which I believe they are, I don't know a church that isn't a come as you are church. But I also believe that our churches, especially in the black community, are one of the last bastions of corporate meetings where there can even be an expectation on you. And if you've ever been into a courtroom and watched how these young men show up and wonder why they get treated the way they do, and if you've ever watched how some of our young ladies and young men show up to so-called formal dances, and if you've ever watched a generation, again, and I'm being funny and I'm being biased and I'm being a little prejudiced, the best dressed, swaggiest, most stylistic, trend-setting culture ever has decided that the only place we want to be sloppy is God's house. To me, and I'm not calling you sloppy just because you dress down, but I'm saying that, because we make dress down looking good too, no doubt about it. But I'm just saying that that's the only place where we keep saying it doesn't matter.
I like that.
And so that's what's bothersome to me, is what does it say about us as a people? Not so much whether or not God has rules about us, or, you know, if you don't wear this, you're not saved, or you're not showing reverence. But in a way, it is, what do we value and prioritize and think about? And how come clothes play such a big part in everything else? And where do we really get this idea, and how contemporary is it? Some of it is chasing white folk, to be honest. Some of us didn't get these ideas about dressing down until we got around white churches, to be blunt.
To answer Mariah's question, I don't think it's coming back.
It has in some spaces. There are some churches, and here's what I've loved to see. I've seen it, because Shamika be following these young first ladies and these young, and not just first ladies, but members who have, like, and again, I hate to say it, trends always start in cities. They always, you know, stuff always comes in from the coast, from the big cities, and they fly out to our little small spaces. But they are taking a new, fresh interest because it is new and fresh to them. Now you have a whole generation that was basically dressed without the expectation and the force of it. And now people are finding new pride. Hey, Miss Taylor, I love you. And I get the judgment stuff. But as Scott said, and I agree, it's become a stereotype and a trope at this point. Yes. That I went to church and they looked at me funny. No, I think you came to church looking for somebody to look at you funny. Some people came to church looking for somebody to look at them funny.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Mariah, we gets down in Second Baptist in Steubenville. I can tell you, we done took a whole bus trips up here to Youngstown just to go to 5 Grands.
Yeah. And again, I love that phrase, Leah. She said 10 years ago, I would have argued, come as you are to the death. And I know that. But I see how as a culture, we lost a lot of our traditions that kept us functioning when we abandoned some church norms. And by the way, we didn't have any other spaces besides church to give us norms. Church, I joked about this morning how teaching the story of Mary and Joseph being engaged and all that kind of stuff is getting more and more difficult because people can't relate to weddings and engagements. Where when I was coming up, every time you were 5 or 6, you was going to be in everybody's wedding. Your mom was going to put you in your older cousins' weddings, aunties' weddings. They had Tom Thumb weddings when I was a kid. And I forget the little girl I grew up with, and we were the little fake bride and groom and all that kind of stuff. So we were like immersed in this trope of being dressed up. You have a whole generation who is in the opposite side. Denominations do dress up, and a lot of non-denominations who still act like denominations. And to call it a denominational thing, I think is a little incorrect, to Kellen's point. But I understand there's a lot of denominations that are very dressed downy. But that's because denominations do still believe in working within some construct of heritage and
I think my problem is oftentimes, especially when we're talking about dress down can go from dress down church to club church.
Very quickly.
And I think that's what we have to, that's a slippery slope where we have to watch.
The deacon has spoken. It's only one way to come to church.
and sit on the front pew to show off your socks.
Now I'm gonna listen. I'm showing mine off right now. But I mean it's in a challenge. Do you know what it would do for the psyche of black folk if you started pulling those kids up that back to ruffled socks and making that boy wear that tie? I have yet to put a tie on a boy that he did not look at himself and stand a little straighter and be proud of himself. I don't care if it's the football banquet. You walk different. You act different. Them little boys, and I've had several in our generations of church, from Agape to Second, these little kids, they look up and they see somebody. That's why I still dress. Because I am aware they may be the only man they ever see with a suit on who ain't some pimp or player or dressing up for one of these white parties or whatever, and not a judge, not a lawyer, but a professional and a pastor. That's why I insist on wearing that every day. That's why my uniform, for those of you that already know, my dress shirt and tie every day, pretty much, and my suit on Sundays. I don't even dress down when we have dress down Sundays for Sundays anymore. I still wear because I think this is a real thought to me. Kids come to these youth Sundays. I may be the only black man they see. I want them to know what this image looks like. And for those who think that all the black preachers who dress up are a bunch of crooks, I want them to know there's a good, integrous, loving, fair, and honest black man behind that pulpit in a robe and in a suit, and not the crooks you keep hearing about. So when you get older and somebody says all those pastors are crooks and all those, they'll say, not Pastor Jeff. I grew up under a pastor and he dressed just like that. And he wasn't no pimp, and his suits were for, he always was dressed to the nines. And he loved the people, and he never messed around on people, and he never stole the money, and he never treated folk bad. They need that.
Absolutely.
They need, in the same way that they need to know that if you dress down, you're not bad. You know, that doesn't make you an evil person. We almost have to flip the script. You're not bad if you dress up, because that's literally the motif now. If you are that hat wearing, suits to the nine dressed woman mother, you probably an old, mean, judgmental church mother. Without ever having a conversation with her.
Karen Osborne ain't no old mean church mother. She be looking good. She be looking good. Do your thing, Miss Osborne.
So I love you guys for your feedback. And again, and I'll say this and some of our church dress, you know, with the creativity, you want to call it, some of it's just gotten weird.
Yeah.
Some of it's just gotten weird. We took it to some extremes. You know, I once put a joke up on Twitter. It's like, y'all fought so hard to not wear choir robes and the old school suits and ties, and now you're up there looking like Prince in the Revolution doing praise and worship. I mean, we didn't see, you know, dudes with tights on and women in distract. And I'm not talking about tight clothes distracting, but sometimes you're just trying so hard to be fashionable and dress down, you know, that you're just distracted. You know, we're looking more at how fly you look than worship. And so it just goes to show that it can work both ways. And I think we always lose balance and push to one extreme or another. Kellen had a good question, and please throw your questions at us before we close. Do you think dress should matter for certain positions and some it not matter? I definitely would require those who minister and serve in positions to dress, for lack of a better term, up, or at least to a business casual. You know, for a brother that would be...
Deacons got to wear they summer white. You know,
some of us have our traditions, but at least, I mean, even if you weren't at that level, at least if you put on a nice sweater or something, you know, if you're a deacon or a minister at a church, you know, that's going to be...
Your Cosby Jones.
Your Gordon Gettrell. But I do think more people, whether they have a position or not, should just consider it. Consider it. I mean, we've lost, and to Leah's point, the spiritual and the cultural, it's funny, is a callback to the argument about the he-she God that she believes in. Tranny God.
Shemalaya.
No, but to the point is, sociological and spiritual ride together. And I know causation and correlation are not always the same thing. Mm-hmm. But man, first of all, just put those boys in shirts and ties and watch how they act.
Christian, Elias, Ethan,
We had them lined up, man.
Oh my God.
And you know what's crazy? They see my boys. And I'm not saying that my boys are the examples and epitomes of everything. But when they saw our boys up there, and some of you that go to second, you know what this is like. Now other boys want to be up there. And nobody told them to be up here. You got to wear a suit. But some of them kind of want to. They're like, I want to sit there with the deacons like Ethan does. And then next thing you know, it's Kason, then it's Patrick, then it's Messiah, then it's... And I'm like, yeah, that's what we should be shooting for. Not because it's the salvation of man, but because it gives our young men a different image and aspiration. And they have very few spaces, if any, which, by the way, also has to be the space where we're giving them Jesus and the gospel.
And it turns, my son this year was like, Dad, I'm wearing a suit. Why are you wearing a suit? It's picture day. You know you're in 10th grade. They don't do that no more. I'm going to. He has a whole different attitude than everybody else. It's just the way he does.
Ethan has that same thing. And he has that pride. And the funny thing is, we call it church pride, but nobody calls it pride when you're gassing up that 9-year-old in $300 jeans and $500,
right,
sneakers and a chain around her neck, literally portraying a whole gangster image. Nobody has a problem with that. And so, I mean, I would just love to see it, man. A crowd. I mean, it's funny because when we talk about dress down Sundays, we literally have to call for dress up Sundays.
Right.
We literally have to say, all right, everybody dress up, please.
Mariah says she wearing stilettos all 2026.
Oh, Lord.
Stepping heavy with the red bottoms.
I love it. I love it. And I get it, and by the way, context matters too. There are always going to be churches of different shades, and there were always churches that were more plainer. One thing I've learned, Brother Kellen, because I'm a history buff, is a lot of stuff that we compartmentalize into what we've seen over the course of our lives is really just a repeat and a reflection of trends that have been going on for centuries. There have always been plainer, working class, blue collar churches, so to speak, country churches, rural churches. These were the guys that worked in the field and came to church in overalls. And then there were highfalutin, wear fancy, look at you funny if you don't show up. Then it turned into fur coats and Cadillacs and all that kind of stuff. But again, a lot of that stuff was more social. They were dressing like that because of what was happening outside of church, not because of what was happening in church.
Right.
When everybody gets these good jobs and can dress up, they still were just church folk. So where else they gonna wear these nice clothes to that they can afford now? They're gonna wear them to church. And if you live in a more blue collar, low to mid-level income community or working class or rural community, you were just gonna dress in whatever the best was. And for a lady, that might just be put a little flower in your hair or something like that. Or the brothers, just put that one dusty jacket you happen to have on. And it don't have to be like a suit jacket. It was just a jacket to say you had something on when you went into church. And
Grover said I give dress lessons.
I give dress lessons. That's hilarious.
Real quick. So
Yeah.
say for instance, in respect to, the whole getting dressed up, as people are getting dressed, especially culturally us, how many people really, even though you're dressed to the nine, you're actually dressing for compliments and fishing for compliments when you go to church, and it's about everything else but God.
Says who?
I'm asking. So for those that put on just to be able to put on in front of people, you know what I mean? Like
You'll
some
never
people
get
got to
away
go to
from that.
church just knowing like,
But you'll
I'm
never
about
get
to
away
kill 'em.
from that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's maybe their esteem. It could be an esteem for some people. Some people, that is a place of pride. I mean, everybody's proud of something. The guy cleans his car and drives around the neighborhood extra slow so that somebody would say, nice ride. The woman and men who have somebody on their arm just so they can say, all right, girl. Showing up to the Thanksgiving dinner with their new man or whatever. To me, again, that's what I feel like. Don't be overly judgmental of us all just being human.
I'm definitely not fishing. I love to dress. I really do. And I'm
Hey, if you came fishing for compliments and you caught you a compliment and you went home feeling good about yourself, God bless you. And if you don't get the compliment, try harder next week.
go to $5,000.
Go to $5,000.
I'm just not in the clothes no more, man.
And some people aren't.
I used to be. I mean, dude, I was that dude with designer stuff, got GQ magazine sent to the house every month. You know what I'm saying? I used to be that dude. But I got older, I'm just not in the clothes no more, man. Give me a Nike hoodie or Adidas hoodie and some Timbs, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
And nothing's wrong with that, though. I don't see nothing wrong with
and
that.
I'm not saying, and the funny thing is, I think, and to Mike's point, we kind of take things a lot, put it this way, folks out in the world take stuff more serious than we do.
Right.
Like, we ain't even thinking about it. Yeah, like, y'all watch our services, we ain't saying nothing about clothes. And some folk are out there dressed to the nines, and some folk are out there, t-shirts, whatever. I had a joke with Rosalind's mother, Mrs. Mother Edmondson. She had her fur on. It's cold. Some of the older church women. She had her fur on, and when she came out, I said, "All right, Frank Lucas." She just cracked up, and I mean, that's my girl, my sister. She's not tight and I'm expensive wear shit. That woman work hard, want to wear that nice coat to church. Where else she gonna wear it? The mall? Where she going? The car wash? I mean, what? So I get everybody wearing according to their comforts. But I mean, come on, y'all. We didn't see teachers dressed inappropriate. We didn't see people show up to, okay, she told you. I said, all right, Frank. FBI gonna be on your tail pretty soon. You keep dressing like that. But it's all jokes and love.
You splotched that thing.
Right, you blotched that.
You blotched that.
You don't wipe that. You don't rub it. You blot that.
Listen, I'm going to just say this before we close, man. Because I've seen throughout these comments, I've heard, I think both of y'all said, talked about dressing up on the first Sunday. And I'm just going to say this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I saw the picture of the last summer. They wasn't dressed up. They wasn't killing. They had on some raggedy sandals.
That's hilarious.
they wasn't geared up at the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Y'all go ahead with what y'all want to wear.
Okay, but how do you know that wasn't their best? How do you know that wasn't considered church clothes?
Because the sandals was unstrapped.
You must be reading that Leah Bible. Oh man, y'all going at it tonight, boy.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. But I really love the discussion, the debate, the comments. We have a Leah versus Mo combo. But I mean, I love it too because you need that. You need that banter.
Absolutely.
You need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Any last words, Pastor Jeff?
That was great, man. Good show, man. I mean, just come to church. How about that?
Just come to church.
Forget about what you wear. Just show up.
Right, I'm coming.
We coming.
No bonnets, please.
Coach Mike?
No bonnets.
Oh, why are you judging people?
Look, I don't
Jesus
care.
love bonnets too.
Right.
Let's get back to the church hankies. Can we get to the church hankies?
The church hankies. My wife got a whole collection of them in every cover, color to match every outfit. Last words, Coach Mike? Thanks for kicking it with us, man.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. No, I'm with it all, man. I think there's some great discussion. I love the opportunity just to be able to get everybody's opinion.
They didn't know it was the Last Supper.
The truth of the matter is that we in and of ourselves are a microcosm of the larger conversations that other people have those questions. We just happen to have an opportunity to be able to share amongst each other. True. And in a safe space where we still respect each other and love each other at the end of the day. So.
True.
See, Coach Mike trying to show you up, Mo. She's trying to show you up.
You ain't got to show up what's already shown.
On me.
You know what I'm saying?
Voice.
Right, in her Denzel voice. Big Mike?
Hey, come as you are, man. I don't care what you wear. And,
when haven't you been?
Don't judge what I wear. We all get along.
Mike be like, I'm working on these cameras. I ain't got time to dress up.
I ain't got time, man.
I ain't got time.
I got a gin and juice shirt on.
As I always say.
And I got to be loose in case somebody run up on you.
Man, I knew you was going to say that. I was waiting on that.
I'm just saying, at the end of service, would you want me taking off my jacket? Because I'm not about to rip my suit jacket. So you better let me come cut. Hey,
I ain't worth your jacket.
I wasn't your red velvet cake you could have shared with me. Now, Negro. Listen, he had a whole red velvet cake.
You got to pass the Negro and everything. It's getting serious up here.
Me
Red
with
velvet.
I've always been good to you people. Y'all take care. Have a good time. Next week. Take care.
Peace.
That's hilarious.